How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're looking at the iPhone 15 after 1 week. We're going to do a quick review of the 5 things that I have noticed, and we're going to look at the end of this video whether you should buy the iPhone 15, upgrade to the iPhone 15, and whether it's actually worth your time purchasing one. Let's get right into the video and we're going to talk all about it. Right, guys, we're gonna get right into the video. So the first thing I want to talk about is the visual look of the iPhone 15. What is new about the iPhone 15, and am I impressed by the visual appearance of the iPhone? Well, not much is really new with the iPhone 15. It still has the very similar shape that we are all used to, and it has the diagonal cameras that is no different since the iPhone 13. So in terms of appearance, it looks very, very similar, and the only thing that you may notice that is different with the iPhone 14 and 13 is the iPhone 15 now has the dynamic island. Now this isn't anything new, but it is new to the base model iPhone. So it may seem at this point that the notch is dead with Apple iPhones. That's not to say that maybe it will come back in an iPhone SE, but for right now, all of the new iPhones, all of the iPhone 15s now have the dynamic island. And I will say that the dynamic island does have its handy features, but most developers aren't actually using the dynamic island in their apps, and therefore it's not actually something you're going to really notice on a day-to-day basis. There are only a few apps that I'm aware of that do use them, and it is really handy with things like directions on maps, when you're listening to music, and there's a few other apps like the weather that does utilize the dynamic island, but for the most part, it's not really something that would be enough just to upgrade your iPhone. So if you have the iPhone 13 or 14 and you want to upgrade to the iPhone 15 purely based off that, it's not really going to be a very good idea. That being said, we've also got the new colors, and we've got the infused glass with the brand new iPhone 15. That is something new to the base model iPhones. We actually finally have this nice satin finish glass on the iPhone 15, and it is really great. It doesn't leave fingerprints, and we have the aluminium sides, which also is pretty good in terms of it doesn't leave fingerprints and stuff like that. Now they have tried to infuse the colors into the glass itself, which is a pretty cool idea and a cool feature, but you may have noticed with the new iPhone 15s, the actual colors are very, very faded. I have the iPhone 15 in the blue in front of me, and it's probably got like 5% blue actually in it. It does look very white. Now for you color enthusiasts, you may know that white and blue can be very similar, especially light blues do look very white, and that is the case with this iPhone. But if you look at the other colors, there's the pink, the yellow, and the green. Obviously it's not really included in the black. The black is black. The blue, the green, the yellow, and even the pink. I'd say the pink is the only one that has a bit of a vibrant color, but the yellow, the green, and the blue, very, very faded colors, and you almost wouldn't even be able to recognize the actual colors in the iPhone. So that is something a little bit disappointing. People noticed in the build up to the iPhone being released and the models and makes that were made that the colors were very faded, and they were hoping that wouldn't be the case with the actual iPhones. But as you can see here, this is the iPhone 15 in the blue, and you wouldn't think it was blue. You would think it was white. When I first saw it in person, I must say I was quite disappointed with the color, because you chose blue because you want blue, and you've basically got white. So it is a little bit disappointing, even though the technology behind it is pretty cool. And in a base model, we finally do have the glass, which is nice. But as far as it goes in terms of blue, I wouldn't call this blue. Now, if we're moving forward and we're looking at the actual iPhone 15 screen, once again, there's not actually anything new with the screen, but in terms of the base model, there are some changes. Like we did talk about, the dynamic island is something that has been upgraded with the screen, and now has 2000 nits in the iPhone screen, so it's a lot brighter and looks a lot better outside, for example. So the brightness definitely has improved in the actual screen. Now in terms of the speed of the screen, it's still only got 60 hertz screen, which is pretty old school for a flagship iPhone like this. It's still a lot of money, 800 USD, and if you're looking to upgrade to an iPhone, you would think that the screen would come with a little bit better technology, but for whatever reason, Apple has decided to keep it with the 60 hertz screen, which I think is a little bit disappointing when there are cheaper phones out there that have the higher, at the very least 90 hertz screens, whereas the iPhone 15 base model does not in fact have this. That being said, obviously the Pros do have a much higher frame rate on their screens, but for whatever reason, the technology is obviously there, but with the iPhone 15s, still stuck with the 60 hertz frame rate. So I would say that is a little bit disappointing. Now, to most people who are looking at buying a base model iPhone, you're not really going to notice this. And to be perfectly honest, it's not really something that I am hugely noticing if I'm just doing day-to-day tasks. It's only when I actually am doing certain things on my phone, I'm really starting to notice that difference in those hertz. The 60 hertz is noticeable if it's something that you're looking for, but most people, they're looking to upgrade to the iPhone 15 and only looking at the base model, and they're not really a professional. You're going to be absolutely fine. You're not going to notice it, but that still doesn't mean that we are a little bit disappointed that the technology is there. But Apple, for whatever reason, does not want to put that into their base model iPhones. So it is, once again, a little bit disappointing. Now, moving forward, we do have the new 48 megapixel camera. That is something that was with the iPhone 14 Pro that has now moved to the iPhone 15 base model. So now it has the same cameras and also the exact same chip, the A16 chip that the iPhone 14 Pro now has come to the iPhone 15. That chip is exactly the same in the Pro models that is now in the base model iPhone 15. So all of those features that you would have got from that chip has now been brought to the iPhone base model 15. So in terms of value, there are some things that are a little bit disappointing, but there are other things that for a base model iPhone is definitely a huge upgrade. That being said, if you have the iPhone 14 or maybe even the iPhone 13, to upgrade to the 15, probably is not going to be worthwhile because it's not going to be enough to be a noticeable difference. Now, if you only have the 12 or below, I would highly recommend upgrading to the iPhone 15 as opposed to trying to save money by getting the 13 or the 14, because the iPhone 15 does come with a lot of new features that you really would like to upgrade. For example, the iPhone 15's models now have the USB-C, which is a big upgrade because all of your accessories matter and you don't want to be stuck on that old school Lightning technology. USB-C has been out for a long time now, and the iPhone 15 finally has USB-C. So for things like that, I wouldn't recommend saving some money and buying the cheaper, older iPhones when you're not going to have USB-C. Now, the USB-C on the iPhone 15 does have a lower transfer rate, so they don't have the 3.0 USB like they do on the Pro models. So once again, the iPhone 15 does have a lot of features that are lacking in the iPhone 15 as opposed to the iPhone 15 Pro models. So what can you expect though if you're trying to save money and you're just looking for an iPhone that works? The iPhone 15 is probably for you. I must say there's a lot of videos out there about the iPhone 15, and I must say overall the iPhone 15 actually is a really good base model phone. May not be the best value for money, but if you're looking at getting an iPhone and you're an Apple lover and the iOS software, then getting the iPhone 15 is definitely a way to go if you don't have the iPhone 14. There are definitely a lot of advantages with the base model iPhone 15 that a lot of the time you'd have to spend an extra couple $100 to get the Pro model when the iPhone 15 now actually comes with those features. In terms of the cameras have definitely some really cool new software upgrades that you can actually use the portrait mode, and you can actually change the focus point after taking the photo. Has to be in portrait mode for this to work, and this will not work if the photo is out of focus. But if you say have two people in the photo, and if you focus on one person in post, you can actually change the focus point onto something else. This will work on people and this will work on animals, mostly cats and dogs. So this is a really cool software feature that has now come to the iPhone 15 that you cannot get on the iPhone 14 and below. This is only something that is new with the 15 for whatever reason. Even though they have the same software and the same chips, this is only a flagship feature with the iPhone 15 models. Really handy feature if you like to do stuff in post and maybe you just want to change around that photo a little bit. Pretty cool. You can do this after already taking that photo and it's already saved. You're able to edit that photo and change the focus point. So I think that's a really handy feature and something that I will probably be using when I'm messing around with editing photos. Overall, I would say that the iPhone 15 for the base model is actually better than expected for most people. They're pretty happy with what you get for the iPhone base model. Of course, there's going to be better phones out there, and of course the Pro models have better features, but you got to pay more money for it. So if you're just looking to upgrade your iPhone and you're not a professional, you just want something that works and does what it's meant to, and you want to upgrade your phone, highly recommend the iPhone 15. For what you get for value for money is pretty decent for the most part. Nothing necessarily new about the iPhone, but there is a lot of things new in an iPhone that you wouldn't get in previous models. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you haven't checked out my unboxings of the iPhone 15 and 15 Plus, I will link them down below. Definitely go check those out to see the opening of the iPhone 15. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.